February 12th, 2026 Isicsb board meeting. Holly, can you go ahead and conduct roll call, please?
Yes. Okay, Luke will not be here, so I'll start with Mindy Benson.
Mindy Benson, present, representing Iowa Emergency Managers.
Curtis Slotin.
Present, representing EMS.
Michelle Bischoff, she will not be here. Michael Colby.
Present, representing municipal police departments.
Jeff Vandewater.
Present, representing sheriff's offices.
And Patrick Updike.
Present, member at large.
I don't believe there are any legislative members on. And we do have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Thank you to everyone that could make the meeting today. Appreciate it. First part of the agenda here, I guess, is we'll seek an approval for today's agenda.
Benson will
Colby will
make the motion to approve the agenda.
Colby will second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Benson.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So the approval of today's agenda passes. Next up is the approval of meeting minutes from January 8th, 2026. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Benson makes a motion to approve meeting minutes from January.
Vandewater second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any nays? Speak now. The approval of meeting minutes for January 8th, 2026 passes. Up next is the SWIC's report. SWIC Nichols.
Thank you, Vice Chair Updike. Just a few things. February's topic that I'm mentioning in meetings is going over standard 1.5.0, Isicsb interoperable talk groups, and talking about some things to remember on basic operation. I give those at the RIC committee meetings and the supervisor group meetings and any other time anyone would like to hear them. IMED update is that the WAVE virtual server was installed at the JFHQ core last week and testing was successful. So that's a big step of the project. Many of the ambulance radios have also been installed, so that is moving along. Then we'll work to get the WAVE application in the hospitals. I did want to mention, I guess, one thing. I was working on the WAVE console, dispatch console yesterday, just trying to learn how to utilize it. And I heard the accident that happened up in Calhoun County go across. I don't usually listen to the radio too much. And I just wanted to comment on the success of the system and what I heard go across. I know that you guys hear it a lot and all the interoperability that happens, but I heard a really coordinated, expansive response over our system and the use of 4 different interoperable talk groups. And I thought that it sounded like a really harrowing event that a lot of people were working hard on. The STR trailer is set up for a demonstration up in Buena Vista County. Thanks to Luke for getting that set up for them. I don't know how long it'll be up there, but they are using it and it worked out for them up in Sioux Rapids. Later in the meeting today, we'll be asking for the approval of a COMEX over in the Loess Hills Cooperative. If that's approved, we're looking for people who are working on their physician task books that would like to participate. You'll hear more about that from me later. Our incident tactical dispatcher TA request was approved through CISA just yesterday. And so I'm working to coordinate locations and dates for that, and you'll hear more about that once that gets solidified. Standards that committees are working on currently are the National Weather Service talk groups, which you've seen. I've pushed that out. The working draft has been sent widely so that we can get any feedback on the operations portion of that to make sure it gets to where it needs to be for a final draft and a 30-day comment period. Please send all comments back to me so I can get them to operations. And then also governance is still working on the broadband policy. You'll maybe hear more about that from Chief Colby, but that's in working order. And if you have any comments on that, let us know. That's all I have today, unless there are any questions for me.
All right. Thank you, Haley. Up next is the 911 Council report with Program Manager Blake DeRucci.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, the 911 Council meets just prior to this meeting. We did review program financials as well as a number of legislative items in the hopper. I'm sure a lot of you listening are interested in those things, but they're not necessarily related to the interop board. So I'll just point you to the recording of the 911 Council meeting, which should be posted later today on YouTube. Related to more interop communications, a couple updates for your PSAP. The master agreement that many PSAPs took advantage of for language, that's language translation services for 911 calls, had been allowed to expire. That's nothing that our office was involved in, but Department of Administrative Services had that master agreement. It expired probably about 6 months ago, but we did just recently learn that that has been renewed, or a new contract has been signed. So I sent out information to PSAPs regarding how to take advantage of that master agreement. So if you're looking to, if you need to renew or looking to get language translation service, that is a pay as you use service. So it's not like it's a flat fee. It's really like 50 cents per minute that you actually use the service. So that's available and out there. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. We also had an update regarding the Eventide and Waltech recorders. I know there's been a lot of information sent out about that. As it relates to shared services, there's really no change. We continue to have Eventide be the service provider under the Zetron shared services contract. So while if you have your own recorder, you might want to do some research as to what's going on there with the vendor community. But as far as it relates to those PSAPs on shared services, there is no change. That is what I have for you today. I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Blake? Thanks for that report, Blake.
Thanks.
Up next is the user group committee with Chair Vandewater.
Thank you. Pardon my voice. The users group met on January 15th. We had 7 members present. We had a brief RIC report from RIC 1. We had no new applications to review this month, but we did review standard 3.1.0, which is radio aliases. After that review, no significant changes were made, and therefore it does not need to go up for a 30-day comment period. That concludes my report, and I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Chair Vandewater. Up next is the Finance Committee. Slick Nichols, can you handle that report?
Sure, Finance. Yeah, thank you. The Finance Committee met on Tuesday. Standard report. There are 2 items in new business that the Finance Committee will be bringing to the board, and I'll discuss those later in the meeting.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is Governance Committee, Chair Colby.
Good morning to everybody. As our SWIC mentioned, we did discuss policy 2026, and we don't have a number for it yet. Point G, the broadband PTT and the LMR policy we've been working on through that. That's been an ongoing discussion we've had, I think, for 3 months now. We are getting to a point where we have a draft policy that we're working on, and I think we're ready to the point to where we are going to look for some input from some of the other committees, specifically technology, on how, as we go through the governance portion of this, what the how that's going to bleed over into the technology group, and need some input there as well. We also plan on having a demonstration of the Wave technology through Motorola at our next meeting. So if anybody wants to jump on the governance meeting in the March meeting, our Swick Nichols is going to give us a demonstration how that works on her devices there, so we can kind of get our heads around seeing that type of technology to work, and then draft more accurate policy on the technical aspects and the operational aspects of this service we're looking at adding to our group. Other than that, we didn't have a lot of discussion there. We did look at the standard 1.1.0 subscriber security. Had a little bit of conversation on that, and there were no other additional comments on that. And that pretty much concludes my report, unless I missed anything from we covered from the SWIC, but I think that's about it. It was kind of a shorter meeting.
Thank you, Chair Colby. Any questions for the governance committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to operations committee. Haley, are you going to take that one today?
Yeah, thank you. The Operations Committee met on the 4th. Sorry, I sort of already jumped ahead in my report and talked about this, but we worked on the National Weather Service standard and have sent that out widely. That's the end of the report.
Thank you much. Any questions? Okay, up next is Training and Outreach Committee with Chair Wooten.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We met on January 15th, started to discuss the 1.5.0 regional and statewide talk group standards. We started looking into it to check on updates if needed, and further discussion will continue at the next meeting. That'll be the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions, Chair Wooten? Okay, up next is ComU credentialing subcommittee with Deputy Swick Walter.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report. Actually, last month's meeting was canceled due to no PTB to review. And our next meeting is a week from today. And as far as I know, I haven't received anything. I'm being told in the room we may have one.
Yeah, did you get the one for Alyssa Lappy, INTD?
I do not believe I did.
You'll get it.
Okay, sounds great. So that's the concludes the report for this month.
Thank you, sir. Up next is Technology Committee, and we met on January 22nd and February 5th. We're continuing our work on the 11 frequencies in the 800 meg band. We've kind of landed on the station class of MO3, FB2T, and MO, which is vehicle repeaters and mobile repeater. Station class came to a conclusion that we should probably put analog and digital emission designators on all of those frequencies. Once we get a little bit more refined here, we'll push out a proposed use for those frequencies and probably go for a 30-day comment on that. In other discussions, we reviewed standard 1.16.0, and that deals with interoperable control station access. And so we went through all of that paperwork and came to the conclusion that it's probably outlived its usefulness, and we're seeking to eventually retire that standard. So as we move forward, we'll keep you updated on that and take the appropriate action on that. So that's it for now. I'll take any questions at this time if you have them. Okay, next up is FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee, Chair Benson.
Thank you, sir. We met on Tuesday of this week. During the meeting, we heard from our FirstNet Authority and had an AT&T update, which will be presented to you a little further down in the agenda. We also heard a presentation on the Everbridge 360, which is a kind of a rapid dissemination software to get information out to targeted groups or various people. So it was a great presentation, lots of great information. If you would like anything further on that, please let myself or Bart Blank know. We'll put you in contact with the right people. And that concludes the report.
Thank you. Any questions for Chair Benson? All right, hearing none, we'll move to other reports with information sharing with board members. Is there any information the board members would like to share? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to Isicsb System Administrator report with Scott Richardson or Al.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to provide a report. Maintenance is key for us. Tama, Lee, Audubon, and Harrison sites had their beacons successfully replaced. Tower crews perform radon replacement at different sites as well. As a reminder, Brooklyn site is offline today from 10 in the morning to 1 p.m. for a transmit antenna system testing to ensure everything is working properly. Finally, I had some numbers from last month. The system has 47,435 active IDs, 3,640 talk groups, and last month, the system handled over 2.8 million push to talks. And with that, I conclude my report.
Well, any questions for our system administrator? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to FirstNet Authority with Tom Lampe.
Good morning. If I could get permission to share my screen, I'd appreciate it.
Go ahead.
It's grayed out. I can't share.
You now?
No, it's still grayed out. Where the share button's grayed out. Only meeting organizers and presenters can share.
Can you make him a presenter?
Already. But, I mean, anybody can share.
Right.
All you have to do is you shouldn't have to do that.
There you
do it
go. There you go. I got it. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. We're going to talk just a little bit about the history of where we're at in Iowa and the network in general across the United States with the National Public Safety Broadband Network, FirstNet, and how we got to what I'm going to show you today. As you know, we invest every dollar that we get back from subscriber fees and AT&T's use of our spectrum we put back into the network to keep it updated, to establish new coverage areas, update the core, move on to 5G, update colts, add colts, cows for immediate coverage, and support you with that kind of thing with those reinvestment dollars. What we hear the most, which rightfully so, when you have a network, you must have coverage for that network. So here's a little brief reminder here. Public safety has identified coverage as top priority. So wherever we go, it's always top priority, and which rightfully so it should be. Top priority for FirstNet, the network contractor, AT&T, reports to us that we have 2.9 million square miles across the country in FirstNet coverage. Following the initial build out of the network in 23, the authority moved to expand the FirstNet and enhance coverage where responders need it, including tribal, territorial, remote, and rural. The authority has made network investments in deployable, in-building, terrestrial, and satellite capabilities to improve coverage for public safety. You will see satellite coverage progressing as we get into the year 2026 with AT&T's and our partner AST Space Mobile to be able to use your phone for coverage in those remote areas. In 24, the authority approved or announced a 10-year plan to invest approximately $2 billion to expand FirstNet and improve the coverage. And then in December, we directed the network contractor AT&T to deploy 135 new cell sites across the country as part of the coverage plan. AT&T then announced they added 1,000 more sites to the network in 25. Also, in 25, the authority launched coverage enhancements workshops, which we did in Iowa in July, and we will continue to do those workshops to gain feedback from you here in Iowa where you need your coverage. So it's an ongoing, continuing investment in your state to get our coverage requirements that you need. And the way we do that the best is we send out information with a survey so public safety can fill out a quick survey and draw a polygon on the map where they feel coverage is lacking. We then look at that, study the data from where we get, and also do drive testing. In fact, I'm going out here in a few weeks to do some drive testing based on a survey that I received over in the western part of the state. To improve the coverage, the authority is also upgrading the network core, as I described earlier, to support the satellite to device and the priority preemption on band 14, as well as the mission critical push to talk. We have two push to talk applications that FirstNet, the authority, requires the contractor to provide. One of those is rapid response. Enhanced push to talk, which is 3GPP mission critical push to talk. There's also a new application that you'll see coming out called Fusion, which is going to replace FirstNet push to talk. So Fusion will be coming out. We're testing that now. So within the next few months, it'll be rolled out. And there are actually a handful of states are having a group of people test. I did send out a link to anybody that wants to test Fusion here in Iowa. So if you are still interested, if you do want to, contact me and I'll get you set up on the list to be a tester. So let's move on to the Iowa coverage survey. So when we conducted the survey and showed you what our data was, and then I sent out another survey and links, I received a bunch of responses as I've been reporting here in the last couple months. So as a result of that, we came up with presenting to the broadband committee. I presented to them this map showing where the survey results came through. Now there's a bunch of stuff on here. So what I want to direct you to is where the numbers are. There's blue areas here. There's some green. These are all surveys that public safety has submitted to me that they feel that coverage was needed. After all that evaluation, presenting the stats to the broadband subcommittee, they came up with these in order of priority. I asked for top five priority for this round. As you know, we're going to continue to ask for this each year. In fact, I'm already planning another coverage workshop. for Iowa. So with that being said, here's the map. Haley has seen it. Mindy, Chair, has seen it. I'm going to have them explain how they came up with these numbers. We just did priority, and the arrow should point to where the areas that they discussed. So I'll give the floor back, and whoever wants to explain that, and then I can answer questions if you'd like.
Yeah, Tom,
Thank-
this is Patrick. What's the gray areas on that map?
Okay, so the gray areas are what we call, the authority has identified as areas of interest. And what those are possibilities that we could also put sites based on FirstNet authority data that we have researched based off the FirstNet network. So when your devices roam all across the state, when you have devices on, any kind of application that you signed up for that you allowed to share your information, if you look in those long agreements that you agreed to share your data, those applications spit data into the cloud. We pay a contractor to give us that data back to see where the coverage needs are. And what basically it's tracking your phone signal as you travel on the FirstNet network. When that data algorithm comes back to us, it identifies areas in here that potentially need some attention for coverage. Some of those lined up with your coverage requests, but there are others. So we'll be addressing these as we continue to move forward with these workshops. There may be some more. There'll hopefully be some more stakeholder input with the surveys I send out, but we will address these as well as we go, because these are the ones that we've identified. And the data supports
Okay,
it.
thanks.
You bet.
So this is Mindy from the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee. Just to let everyone know, we did go through these methodically. We took a great amount of time in looking at all the grayed out areas, all of the coverage requests that have been submitted by stakeholders in public safety. And as a collective group, the entire FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee, we went through and we prioritized what we wanted to look at, what areas we wanted to look at due to the coverage, due to the requests, and a multitude of other things. So this is where we came up with the 5 top priorities. There's also one area down there by the I-80 that is in pink. That is an area that we sent off to Bart to check out and see if there's an issue there with coverage, what that might be, and kind of go from there. So we're doing a lot of due diligence and looking at the areas to say, okay, are there towers there? Are they providing the information or the need that's there? Or is this something that they're upgrading towers? This will get stronger as we move in the future. So when we first looked at these, the first one that jumped out at us was that Sioux City area. There's a large population there, a large industrial area. So that's where that top priority came out at us for. Number 2 is kind of the same thing as a coverage area. It's a really weak coverage area with within a good stretch of highway that people travel quite frequently. So that was another concern to us as well as responder safety and everything else. The number 3 area was realistically the same credentials that we went through with choosing what number 3 was, stakeholder request or coverage request and stakeholder input. And then number 4 is the area, it pretty much is all around Dubuque County, but that was the area that we focused on. This came in from, I believe, the sheriff over there stating, they have coverage issues. We know a lot of that's due to terrain, but that is an area we wanted to focus on as well. And then that 5th area is down by the lake. As you can see, there's a large area down there that FirstNet has brought to our attention as well. So that's where everything came into fruition at. And Haley, if I'm missing something, please feel free to throw anything in there.
I think that pretty much covers it. The AT&T did show a very detailed maps with a lot of data and over a number of meetings. And that's where we were able to drill down and make better decisions.
Any
Great, thank you.
questions? Yep. Any questions on that? We're happy to answer from the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee side.
Thank you for your input. Tom, do you have additional information?
Nope, I don't. Just that we're going to be returning, and just as a reminder, just because these gray areas are in here, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where we want towers. It just shows that there's some spots in there where we need to take a look at that area. It may not require a tower. You may be able to use a high power device to get. So when you go through that, you don't want to spend $1 million. You want to use your money as far as you can go. And you don't want to spend $1 million in an area where you could probably get away with some high powered equipment. So we take a look at all of that. So we got to make the money go as far as we can. So those areas don't confuse. Yep, there's a need a tower here. We need a tower here. That's not the case. It's just the areas where the algorithm pointed out that the signal was weak. It doesn't mean there's SOS there. It doesn't mean there's no coverage. It just means that, hey, take a look at this area.
Hey. Thank you,
That's
Tom.
all I got.
All right, appreciate it. Any additional questions for Tom Lampe? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the AT&T update with Bart Blank.
Good morning, everybody. Short update about 12 towers over the last month have been modernized as part of our project going across the state. More to come this year. A lot scheduled for this year again to hopefully finish by the end of 2026. And then kind of go along with the coverage theme, with our AST partnership, hoping to have some more information coming soon on that. We've launched some more satellites. AST has launched some more satellites, low Earth orbit satellites. And there's going to be some beta testing starting this year. And I'm hoping to show, well, most of the information we have is internal and not a lot has been external. We did do some tests in Texas recently with a group down there, rural, on the satellites. And that test was successful in doing voice, data, text, interoperability, and using what Tom had highlighted with our Fusion product all over satellite. So hopefully more to come this year on that. It's going to be a big year for our satellite expansion this year. So that is all I have. If there's any questions.
Any questions for Bart? Thank you, sir. Moving along, next is the CISA update with Chris Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Appreciate the time, as always, to brief this morning. We're going to start off with something called our Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog. Some of you in the IT space may be familiar with this, but those of you that are not in that space may not be. So the KEV catalog takes what has been aggregated as exposures or vulnerabilities across organizations and manufacturers, and takes it a step further. What it does is it says basically, hey, do you have a vulnerability? And also, do we know if someone is exploiting this in the wild? If so, it gets thrown into the KEV catalog, especially if there's a known remediation step for it. So this is an additional piece of information. Number one, it not only tells you if you have a potential hole in your systems, it tells you, is someone actively exploiting it within a certain degree of certainty with what we have for in the field intelligence. It also lists the fix if one exists, and kind of shows you the steps to implement it. One of the best ways that agencies can use the KEV catalog that's available through CISA is prioritization. It's one of those things where it helps to have awareness that you have a vulnerability, but it's another thing to know that you can remediate it effectively and essentially close that hole. The KEV catalog is downloadable in several formats, your traditional Excel, but also some more complex listings, such as something that could be ingested into Python, automatically parsed, and kind of output as things that directly affect your organization. The KEV catalog is extensive. It goes all the way back into the 90s, and it includes all things that we may have to patch, whether it's Windows, Linux, Microsoft Office, routers, switches, other types of hardware that may affect your systems. The KEV catalog is there to help out with managing what those vulnerabilities may be. Are they a potential actual hazard for your organization, and how to remediate the potential impacts? Next slide, we have a new document that has been released. This is an international document that discusses secure connectivity for operational technology. Think cameras, sensors, anything else that you may have in your organization that would fall under the range of operational technology. And the purpose of this document is to help organizations mitigate exposed and insecure connectivity for those types of devices. It also really aims to protect networks from highly capable and opportunistic threat actors, which would include our nation state adversaries. It outlines 8 key principles, several of which we're familiar with, but some are relatively new for this type of network. And one is to how to kind of harden your boundary where you may have OT devices connected to something that's at the edge of your network, and then also how to actually limit the impact of a compromise once one is actually found or exploited. It also talks about having an isolation plan for those devices in case the worst were to happen. And it also talks about how to log and monitor everything that's on your network when it comes to OT, because it is very highly variable with these types of devices. So this is available for a read. It's a lengthier read, full disclosure, and it's geared towards your information security groups. But if you're using OT in your operation, which it's almost a certainty at this point that you are, this is a great document for making sure that you can minimize the potential impact of any potential cyber intrusion that might happen in the short, medium, or long term. Next slide. This discussion topic is a little bit more in depth, but it's about post-quantum cryptography. So what that means is think encryption, but in a post-quantum world where anybody can have a computer that in theory could break very sophisticated encryption within a matter of minutes. The purpose of this document that is now available is to follow up on Executive Order 14306, which directed DHS and CISA to publish product categories of available products that would need to support post-encryption cryptography, also known as PQC. What this does is it establishes product categories that we would probably need to have in a post-quantum world. It also identifies hardware and software categories that are currently in support or expected to support post-quantum cryptography. What does this mean for us as agencies? Well, we have several in-house data sets that are of interest to our adversaries, rating or going from the rather mundane organizational charts to things like criminal justice information, healthcare information that might fall under HIPAA, or any other things. And the nice thing about post-quantum cryptography practices is that it talks about data at rest and in transit. So I'm sending it to someone, I'm receiving it from someone. How long is it going to be secure when it's at its resting place? This document is very, very detailed on how to handle some of these things. It's a great read for our agencies to develop a strategic plan to make sure that as we work with our data and share it with partners, that we're making sure that it's secure at rest or in transit and away from our adversaries. So this includes cloud services, web software, networking hardware, endpoint security, you name it. It is available for download at the link at the bottom of the slide. And if you want direct access to it, just shoot me an email and I'll get it over to you. Lastly, for the month, regional news of note, big things are happening with technical assistance and that we're starting to see a few things roll. We're assisting Illinois with a skip refresh. You heard Swick Nichols talk about the tactical dispatcher course, and we also have a communications technician course coming up in late February in Jefferson City. We're working with Kansas on some governance documents for their version of the Isicsb board in Kansas. And of course, we're also working with Nebraska and FIFA entities for support for that large event. That is my report for the month, Mr. Vice Chair. I can go ahead and take any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the time there. Moving on, there doesn't look like there's any old business. We'll jump down to new business, and under Section A, it says approve FirstNet subcommittee site recommendations. Haley, you want to speak to that?
Those are just those 5 sites, so I guess I'll let Mindy put that forth.
Yep, those were the 5 sites
Okay.
that we reviewed with Tom Lampy. We were just looking to get those approved.
Yeah, okay. So seeking a motion to approve FirstNet Subcommittee site recommendations. We have a motion.
Motion.
Colby will motion.
Do we have a second? I've got Wooten.
Andy Water seconds.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The approval for FirstNet Subcommittee site recommendations passes. Up next is approved state-sponsored COMEX and necessary travel cost not to exceed $1,500.
Yeah, thank you. I'll speak to this just a little bit. So I have asked the Finance Committee to review allowing for a state-sponsored COMEX in conjunction with the Lois Hills Cooperative Burn Week. The mobile command will be over there as well. They've asked for that. I've never really done a complete state-sponsored COMEX, so I'm not exactly sure all of what costs will go into it, but mostly travel. And then in speaking with the cooperative, they advised that for every participant, they will provide breakfast and dinner. And so really the only meal that anyone who attends will have to provide on their own will be lunch. And that will be in the field. You're not going to be able to go and travel and hit a McDonald's or anything anyway. There's nothing there. So it will be very minimal travel costs for any of our evaluators that we invite. It will also be minimal travel costs for anyone who participates to their agency, because the accommodations are also in the park, and the cooperative has offered that anyone who signs up in a reasonable time can get first dibs on the cabins that are available in the park. And that would be for free. You can stay in those. And then what most of the firefighters do for that week is tent camp. So you could also tent camp with them that you choose. So this functional exercise is going to be in the field. It's going to be a real deal. And so I do not expect that the cost will come near that $1,500, but finance put that cap on it so we wouldn't have to come back and ask for more later.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking for a motion to approve the state-sponsored COMEX with necessary travel costs not to exceed $1,500. Do we have a motion for that?
Can I ask a question first? I just was curious when the date of the event is for the COMEX exercise.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So they are doing this the last week of April. I believe it starts the 27th, and I do not know yet if the COMEX will be going on that whole week or if we're just going to pick a couple days. The planning is now, if this gets approved, it will start immediately.
So it's a 5-day event for the Monday through Friday, or is it the full week, or do you know how many days they expect to be in the field?
The firefighters, the Lois Hills Cooperative Burn is the entire week. Those people are doing their thing and they're training the entire time. Our thing is separate, and they've invited us to participate. We can be there any piece of that week. How we decide to do that will be sort of determined by the planning, if we go the whole week or if we just pick a couple days, depending probably on how many people sign up.
Thank you. I'll make a motion after hearing that information. Colby?
Andy Water seconds.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? So all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. So the motion to approve the state-sponsored COMEX with necessary travel costs not to exceed $1,500 passes. Up next is approved funds for COMT toolkit not to exceed $3,000. Haley?
Sure. I'll speak a little bit to this and maybe then Deputy Swickwalser will have something to say. At the last COMT, there was some quick action to try to find a COMT kit with some difficulty because of some of the federal situations. I can't remember if there was a shutdown at the time or what. And ECC Myers ended up bringing us one down up from Kansas. And then the federal government was able to get us one shipped in as well. So there was two at Lynn County. And at that time, there was discussion between the COMTs that were there that it might be a good idea to have one here in the state of Iowa if we were going to be hosting more of our own state-sponsored events, which it looks like we will have to moving forward as we are less and less able to get federally sponsored TAs. So way back when, they took pictures and kind of inventoried those COMT kits, and then from that came up with this list of what it would take to build our own here in the state. I've had that in my possession until now when we're thinking about having this COMEX, and I thought it was a good time to ask, maybe we should build that. And so that's what this is. The Finance Committee determined that they would ask for the funds not to exceed $3,000 because the total price, maybe that's been over a year ago when these,
June.
yeah, June maybe, the equipment came to a total of $2,200 or so. And so maybe it's gone up a little bit, but everything on there is what Colonel Hedgepeth and Wally looked over and thought would be a complete kit mostly. I don't know if you had anything to add.
I guess the only thing, I mean, echo what you said, the list was based off of the federal kit, so we kind of took an inventory of what they had. We did remove a couple of items that were not either not supported or not going to be supported. Nick Brazinio was there with us and helped us teach. He's in the room here today, and we all kind of talked about it, afterwards. Really, this could fill multiple roles. The nice thing is it could fill multiple roles, whether that's because we're doing a state-sponsored COMT, or also, like you mentioned, this upcoming COMEX. Because really, if you brought in COMT trainees that are trying to do the skills, a lot of this type of stuff isn't necessarily something that you're going to go find in the closet on location. So kind of to close that loop, it would be helpful. Obviously, there's people in the industry that can donate things, but we all know what that's like when you're, in many cases, when we're doing state-sponsored or we're doing COMEXs, the support staff that's doing those, of course, are placing their full-time jobs on the back burner and then trying to complete successfully complete whatever the task we're doing. And so by having all this stuff in one spot, I think it would take some of that pressure off. Most of the stuff, some of it's consumables. So there are some things when you start consuming them, you'll have to restock. A lot of it is not, it doesn't expire, and really for the most part isn't going to wear out in the amount of use that we would see here.
Okay. Anything else?
If the
Okay.
consumables, I got a question. If the consumables are foreknown, or we know what they're going to be, is it better to purchase extra consumables within that kit if we are under the $3,000 requested, and assuming it's approved by the board to purchase that, so we have additionals, or are they? I assume they're not going to expire. We buy one, we use it, and it's not going to be like an expiring type thing.
That's a very valid point, and absolutely. I don't. The other factor that we would have here to kind of add to your question, obviously, if the feds rework the curriculum, that could change what KIT looks like, and we, unless Mr. Myers knows of anything coming up, I've not heard of any major curriculum shifts. So that would be the only thing on extra consumables, is if later on they were not needed. But I think you're talking a bucket of sand at the beach for that particular portion.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that information. So we're seeking a motion to approve the funds for CompT toolkit not to exceed $3,000. Do we have a motion on that?
No motion.
Benson will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. So the motion to approve funds for the CompT toolkit not to exceed $3,000 has passed. Thank you all. And up next is public comment. Is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak to the board? Now you have the floor. Okay. Hearing none, up next is adjourn the meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Benson will make that motion.
Moves.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Anyone like to second the motion to adjourn?
I'm not sure if you had myself or Vandy Waters making the motion, but I will second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for joining in, and have a super day.